What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to talk about the Dead Scourge once again. We are going to answer the question, can we make some hybrid teams that are better than just the Uncanny or the Marauders? Because I don't want really to invest on either Uncanny or the Marauders, because there are some older teams, they don't have big value right now. So if we can make some hybrid team that allows me to use characters that were important recently and add up a few characters, decreasing the level of investment I have to do and making a useful hybrid team, then that's going to be my preference. Of course, the least investment I do on the characters, the better it is. So in this video we are going to talk about some hybrid teams that you can use in order to win on the Death Scourge and complete the non-hero, non-legendary mutant. It's all mutants but non-legendary. It's troublesome to say this. So we're gonna take a look at some hybrid teams that don't have legendary characters and that still are going to perform very well on the Death Scourge. We're also going to take a look at some teams that have a little bit less value, but that you can use them as sack teams like the XFactor and the Brotherhood. So as always, if you like the information on these videos, make sure you share them with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, so with all that said, let's get started. First off, we're gonna take a look at one of the teams, which is going to be the Unlimited. It's a hybrid version of the Unlimited. Then you are going to take a look at a hybrid version of all the X-Men characters mixed together in a very powerful team. Then you're going to take a look at the XFactor in action as a sack team, see how further they can take us. And finally, we're going to take a look at a mixture of the Brotherhood together with the Weapon X and see if they are also going to be useful as a sack team. So with all that said, let's get started. Okay, so the first team we are going to talk about is Unlimited with Magic, and this team might be convenient for a lot of people because Unlimited right now is the best team for Cosmic Crucible. It's the team with the most tags for Cosmic Crucible, and even after the first season of Cosmic Crucible ends with the Age of X, where the hero mutants have a lot more benefits, the Unlimited is still going to be a very powerful team in Cosmic Crucible. Then we add up Magic. Magic is going to provide the barrier to the team, is going to provide drain to the team, and that is going to increase their survivability. Now Magic is part of the Uncanny. She's not as valuable as the other characters are, as the Uncanny is a somewhat useful team in Alliance Wars and maybe also Cosmic Crucible. We'll have to see how they are going to perform on Season 2. But the reasons for you to invest on Uncanny right now are very low. So it's unlikely that you feel motivated to invest on Magic unless it's about a new costume. But when you take a look at this hybrid team, the team actually performs very well. We have a drain from Magic, and the Unlimited, they also have a drain. And on top of that, they also have some mitigation and defensive abilities like Phantom X giving defense up, Gambit giving evade to the team. And this is also a good team because they have a significant amount of control. You have the first ability block with Gambit, which you should be careful when you use this ability. You don't want to waste the ability block. And you also have the ability block with Dazzler, which is also very important. Applying the ability block to the right character is a winning condition. With Magic, you also have the turn rewind on her special, but it has a long cooldown, so it's not something you can rely on. But another thing that this team has very convenient is the amount of damage output that they have. They can really do a nice amount of burst damage, and not only that, based on which abilities you use. Right now I use the basic of Dazzler instead of using the ultimate or the special. You can increase the survivability of your characters, and also you can stack up different buffs in order to increase more your survivability. So for example, you can use the special of Sunfire and give everyone offense up, and then you use the ultimate of Dazzler so she can do more damage with her ultimate, and that will result in more drain. So this is something that you need to be aware of when exactly to use your abilities in order to increase your survivability. It's not just spam ultimate, spam special. No, you have to think about what you are doing in order to increase your survivability. And if you do that, if you manage your abilities properly and not just spam them as soon as they are available, then this team, the unlimited with magic, is going to have a lot of value. Now, a few things that we need to have into consideration is that you should have fortified ISO weight on magic, because she's not going to have as many defensive abilities as the other characters. The unlimited, they have evades, they have the defense ups from Phantom X, but magic has nothing. So it's going to be really important that you give magic fortifier, so she has the minor defense up and also the additional barrier. Okay, so beyond that, the team is pretty good. As you can see, they are shredding to the enemies. Once again, you have to know exactly when to use the ultimate of Dazzler for the ability block, when to use the first special of Gambit for the ability block as well, and then you also have the special of Dazzler that can give a barrier to the entire team, the entire unlimited team, which is going to be convenient as well once again. Okay, so as you can see, the team has good survivability. We are already on the second wave of enemies, and the enemies in Scourge, they are usually weaker than the enemies on Dark Dimension 3, and they also have less HP. The faster you can kill your enemies, the better. And with characters like Gambit, Magic, with Dazzler as well, if you can make sure that the characters have offense up whenever you use their ultimates or the special abilities, then you are just going to shred through the enemies, and the Death Scourge, the mutant nodes, shouldn't be a problem. So this is going to be one of the best teams that you can take, and the best team to justify the investment on the characters. This is a Cosmic Crucible team that has one additional character, which is magic, and therefore it's not going to be overall a problem to invest in these characters, because the investment will pay off in other game modes. So let's take a look at the next team, which is going to be Uncanny. Oh, it's not going to be Uncanny, it's going to be like a mixture of all the X-Men teams. Uncanny, Astonishing, and also Unlimited. Okay, so this is our ultimate X-Men team. We have all the parts of the team. So we have Uncanny with Colossus, Beast, and Magic. Then we have Astonishing X-Men with Bishop and Beast. And finally we have Gambit. And the reason why we have all these characters is to max out as much as possible the HP of everyone, and especially the HP of Beast, because he's going to be our healer. Then we have Magic to give drain for everyone. All the X-Men characters are going to get drain, and all the X-Men characters, they are also going to get barrier with magic. So this is going to be very convenient for us. Then because we only have two Astonishing X-Men characters, that means that Beast will always be able to clear the negative effects away with his special, and that means the other Astonishing X-Men characters will always be topped off. And that's going to be important, because Bishop, if he's topped off, he is going to get a defense up and taunt, and that is going to increase the survivability of the team. So you don't require to have Colossus taunting all the time, and this is going to be very convenient for you to increase the survivability of the team. So let's take a look at these characters in action. Once again, you should have Magic as a fortifier. I have her as a skirmisher because this is something I do on Cosmic Crucible. Make sure you stay tuned for the Cosmic Crucible videos, because there are very important lessons that you can learn from there. And you need to have fortifier on her. Make sure that she has barrier, make sure that she has the minor defense up, to make sure that she survives. Now, comparing this team for the previous team, Unlimited with Magic, this team has a problem, which is doesn't have enough control. While the other team had the slow from Dazzler, it had several ability blocks and blinds, this one does not have. So you have to be very, very careful with when you use your special ability with Gambit, you want to make sure that that ability block counts, and you also have to be very careful with your abilities of Colossus. If you have an opportunity to use the basic of Colossus, then you should do that, because he's going to apply offense down to the enemies. But this team is going to rely mostly on brute force. You're going to have defense up, offense up, speed up as often as you can, and that will allow you to just shred the enemy. So instead of having a lot of control like the previous team, this is going to be all about shredding and making sure that Bishop and Colossus are taunting to protect the other characters. As soon as you can, you should use the ultimates of Bishop. You have to spam the Bishop ultimate all the time, and when Bishop is not taunting, you should use his basic so he gets counters. So in case Colossus taunts, then Bishop will stop any kind of chain attacks that the enemies might do. We can also change the position of the character, have like Bishop in the middle, or have Colossus in the middle and then Bishop and Gambit, and this is just to protect magic and Beast, and also stop those pesky chain attacks in case there is any. But as you can see, the team is doing fine in terms of survivability. The problem is that if you start having way too many enemies on the field, then they are going to cause you some problems because you don't have enough mitigation. Now this can be solved by, well, gearing up more Colossus and making sure that Colossus has the T4 on the ultimate, so you can have defense up, offense up, death proofs, and so on for a longer period of time. Now, I'm not telling you to do this right now. You don't have to rush and do the T4s and change the ISO weight of Colossus and Magic, but this is something that you need to have in mind in case it's necessary for the Scourge, because it might even be the case that you don't need to do any of these changes because you have so many characters available. But as you can see, this mixture of all X-Men characters together, they work very, very well. Bishop is just destroying, so in case you invested in the past on your Bishop, now he's still gonna pay off a little bit with his abilities. You can see now his ultimate does tons and tons of damage, and because of the drain of magic, he's going to top himself off, and he's going to protect the team once again with that defense up and taunt in case it's necessary. As you just saw, Colossus died, and this is because he doesn't have the T4 on the ultimate, because he's not able to keep up that defense up, offense up, and speed up as long as it's necessary. So this is something that we are going to adjust in the future when the Horseman Scourge is here, and then we'll decide, is it important or not to make those changes to increase our score, or maybe you're just going to be happy with 5 yellow stars or 4 yellow stars, the Dead Horseman, Archangel, and that's going to be fine too. It's still going to be fine. At least you're going to save your resources to after have to invest in other characters. So this was the X-Men team, and now let's take a look at the XFactor team and see if they are also going to provide some value for us. Okay, so let's take a look at the XFactor team, and is this team going to be a SAC team, or is this team actually better than a SAC team? Well, it really depends on the gear of your characters, and it depends previous investment that you have done. Have you also invested on X23? This is a team that has not been like top of the meta for like 2 years or so, so investing on these characters is mostly relatable to super whales that or were able to invest in them in the past, or have the money and the resources to invest them right now while they were useful on the Cosmic Crucible Season 1, the Age of X. If that's not the case, it's very, very unlikely that you're gonna get some value out of these characters, and it's unlikely that they will have more value than just a SAC team. But let's see how they perform against these enemies, and see how they do. Maybe it's gonna be a surprise. Maybe they're going to perform very, very well. Okay, so other problem with these characters is that their stats are not updated at all. The stats are kind of low, and you see that Polaris, she almost got destroyed, Multiple Men also got destroyed. So let's see if we are able to recover and do actually some damage to the enemies. Now this team does not have a lot of control. We have the disrupts from Polaris, and that's going to prevent the enemies from having positive effects, which is nice, but we don't have a slow, and the only other control we have is the ability block from X23. So you have to be very, very careful when you use that ability block. You want to make sure that ability block has winning condition utility. Okay, so beyond that, as you can see, we are almost dying with our characters, and these changes depending on which ISO weight you have. If you want to have increased survivability on your team, I definitely recommend for your Polaris and for your multiple men to have healer ISO weight, so whenever they have their turns they are able to heal each other, because otherwise this team lacks a lot on healing. Longshot and Shatterstar, they heal up whenever they have a turn, so it's not a problem for them, but for Polaris and multiple men it definitely is a problem, the amount of healing that they have. X23, she also can heal herself, but to a lesser amount than the other characters, because her healer multiplier is just lower. I think she has 10% healing, which is not that great. And if you have healer ISO weight on Polaris, multiple men, then the survivability of the team is going to increase a lot more. Now, in terms of other types of survivability, in terms of mitigation, the XFactor, they have defense up, they have a barrier, and that's it. And the X23, she has the evade. So you want to make sure that you increase as much as possible their survivability. And the other thing that you can do, this is a minor trick, not really exploit, but you want to have characters closer to 50% as much as possible, the enemy characters, because that's going to trigger the passive from X23, and that will allow her to heal more often. So this is something that might be convenient for you to make sure that X23 goes as fast as possible, and not only that, to make sure that her cooldowns refresh faster, so you can do that ability block more often. But as you can see, the team went from very, very low, they're catching up, and once again, if we had the healer ISO weight on these two characters, multiple men and Polaris, it would be great. Am I telling you to change the ISO weight right now? No. Once again, this is something that I just want you to have in mind in order for you to change in case it's necessary, in case the investment on these characters was done in the past and you think that you are going to get some use out of them right now. But once again, this is going to be mostly a sack team that you can use for node 1 or node 2 depending on the characters, or it's going to be a cleanup team, because if you attack with some other team like Unlimited and you are not able to finish all the enemies, this team is going to go there and they are going to shred through the enemies, no problem, and clean up after you are done. And if you invested in these characters in the past, it seems like a decent team. Not amazing, definitely requires some changes to increase their value, but overall I think it's still you're gonna get some use out of them. Okay, so now the last team we are going to talk about is the Brotherhood with Weapon X, and this is a team that honestly doesn't have a lot of value. You're gonna use it as a sack team, maybe also a cleanup team. They can do a lot of burst damage early on, but they just don't have enough healing or enough survivability or enough controlling effects in order to be useful. Now, don't get me wrong, Silver Samurai is amazing, he's going to tank like a boss. Wolverine and Sabretooth do tons and tons of damage, but Toad and the Blob, they are not going to be able to do anything, especially without Magneto. They have a lot less HP, and they don't have mitigation mechanics like Wolverine, Silver Samurai and Sabretooth have. And that's why, once again, I think this is going to be mostly used as a sack team. Maybe you'd be better off pairing up the Weapon X with the Marauders instead, maybe Madeline Pryor, maybe with Emma Frost. I think that would be also a nice team, because yeah, as you can see, like, the blob is just getting destroyed. I think he has to eat more donuts, otherwise he's not going to be able to cut it. He just doesn't have the weight and the size like he had 2 or 3 years ago. And in terms of the toad, he's the opposite. He's just too skinny. You need to invest way more chicken nuggets on the toad for him to survive. And he's still able to provide some utility. You can extend negative effects on the enemies, and yes, they evade, but as you can see, like, the amount of stats is very, very low, and therefore they are not able to keep up. So I think, once again, that you'd be way better off using the Weapon X with the Marauders, with Mr. Sinister, maybe Mystique, maybe Madeline Pryor, maybe Emma Frost, to increase the speed of these characters by decreasing the speed of the enemies, and that will allow you to heal up more often with Sabretooth, with Wolverine, because overall the Wolverine and Sabretooth, they have decent characters. They have an insane amount of damage, they have some survivability with block chance, with deflects, with defense up, and then the barrier from Silver Samurai and the defense up that he has. You can see that he takes no damage. All the damage that he is taking is going through the barrier, and that means that it doesn't require a lot of healing. So if you can cover the flaws that these characters have with other characters, like, once again, the Marauders, I think that's going to be also a very good team. And instead of just being a cleanup team, it might be one of your main teams. So that's going to allow you to not invest on Madeline Pryor in case you ever at low level, or not invest on Mystique, because once again, the main 2 characters that are going to matter is going to be Mr. Sinister and Emma Frost to complete this team. As a final note for this video, we are just going to talk briefly about Dark Beast and the Dead Sea team. It might be the case that the next upcoming character, which is Nemesis, aka Holocaust, it might be the case that that character can provide some huge value for these non-mutant legendary nodes, and allow you to pair up Dark Beast with Psylocke and Nemesis, and then we can complete that team maybe with Mr. Sinister and Emma Frost. We still don't know the kit of this new character. We have to wait until Friday until we are able to see it, and then we have to take a look at the stats and see if he has stats big enough in order to compensate the fact that he is a new character. And that's probably the only use that we're gonna take of Death Seed, and this is gonna be only for the top 1% maybe that are able to invest on these characters early on, but we'll test those characters as soon as they become available. And that's going to be all for now, guys. The best hybrid teams for the non-mutant legendaries, or the non-legendary mutants of the upcoming Dead Horseman Archangel, which is part of the Death Seed, which is a raid team that you are definitely going to need in order to complete your raids and also to obtain Apocalypse. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, and if you found information helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. Let me know in the comments below which is your favorite team. Do you prefer Marauders and Kenny? Do you prefer one of these hybrid teams? Let me know all of that. And if you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.